Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Crypt Finder. So, I'm continuing my series tonight on some of the hidden gems of the made-for-TV horror world. And tonight I have a made-for-TV movie from 1978. It is Devil Dog, The Hound of Hell. This movie is directed by Curtis Harrington. It stars Richard Crenna, Yvette Mimieux, Ike Eisenmann, and Kim Richards. This movie blends sort of the supernatural horror with a very familiar domestic setting, sort of the terror in suburbia genre. And it's all about an all-American family that unwittingly adopts a demonic pet. And everybody, I am joined by a very special guest tonight. This is my own devil dog. This is Ollie, the corgi from hell. I know he looks adorable, but he's ferocious. He would take your arm off in a second, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Don't you want to snarl or growl or... Okay, I got to put him down. He's embarrassing me. Okay, hop down. This film opens up with a sinister ritual being performed by a satanic cult, and the purpose here is that the cult is shown breeding a litter of puppies that are intended to be the vessels for an ancient demonic force. Their goal is ultimately to distribute these evil possessed dogs to unsuspecting families, and thereby sort of corrupting them from within. And yet, some of this is kind of confusing because at least later on in the movie we find out from an occult bookstore owner that there is such a creature as a bargeist, which is kind of a demon that takes on the form of a dog, but then you get the fact that the demon has 3 eyes, so an all-seeing powerful demon of unknown origin. And it takes the father ultimately to Ecuador in search of how to stop it. It's all very convoluted, and you're not sure if there's a demon in each of the puppies or the power of one demon in all of them, etc., etc. It's best not even to think about it. Just go into it and enjoy the movie. So as far as an introduction to the family, this is the Barry family. We have the father Mike, who's played by Richard Crenna. We have the mother Betty, who's played by Yvette Mimieux. And then we have their 2 children, Bonnie and Charlie. They're a very typical middle-class suburban family living in California. Early in this film, they suffer the loss of their beloved pet Skipper. He's run over by a car mysteriously who flees the scene, and so they're devastated by the loss of their beloved pet. Then we have a member of the satanic cult showing up and offering these grieving children a puppy from a new litter. But unbeknownst to the family, this puppy is one of the devil dogs. Perhaps if the German Shepherd puppy that they had actually hired in this movie wasn't so darn adorable, like maybe you could appreciate the fact that it's supposed to be this demonic entity, but instead you end up just sort of finding yourself saying, well, he's so cute. Maybe he's just a little bit evil. At first, the Barry family is very excited about their new dog. They actually name him Lucky. He seems to be just a normal, affectionate dog. But soon, strange occurrences began to unfold. The dog exhibits a very peculiar influence over the family, especially over the children, Bonnie and Charlie. Their behavior becomes increasingly erratic, with Bonnie becoming very rebellious at school, and you also have Charlie, who's becoming super withdrawn. Their housekeeper is a very devout religious woman who she's the first to begin to notice that something's not quite right with Lucky, but she's also dispatched very quickly by the puppy from hell. And then Mike begins to grow ever suspicious with the strange and inexplicable accidents that begin to happen, and the family's once loving dynamic ultimately begins to sort of crumble and fall apart as everyone is taken under Lucky's spell. While Betty and the children remain oddly devoted to the dog, Mike is ultimately alienated from his family and struggles to convince them that their pet is not what he seems. Driven to uncovered the truth, Mike begins to investigate a little bit more about where their new dog came from. He seeks the help of a local occult bookstore owner who informs him, yeah, Lucky's not an ordinary dog, but a vessel for a very powerful demonic force. Mike realizes that his family is in grave danger and that he must act before the demonic influence of the dog just consumes them all, ultimately leading to a final confrontation. The film ends on a little bit of an ambiguous note. We have no idea of all of the other families that have adopted some of these demonic dogs. Will they even survive at all? It leaves the audience sort of with lingering questions on whether true evil can ever be truly defeated. Devil Dog, the Hound of Hell capitalizes on themes of domestic horror and possession, blending the suburban normalcy with the supernatural. This film very much mirrors the evil hiding in plain sight trope. It was very common in films of the 1970s. Though the movie was made for television and features low budget, very low budget special effects, you do have some very compelling performances by everyone in the cast, particularly by Richard Crenna, helping to make this sort of like an underrated classic among horror fans. Richard Crenna had already gained a lot of popularity because he was one of the stars of The Real McCoys, which was a sitcom back in the 1950s, and later he would become even more widely known for his role as Colonel Troutman in the Rambo franchise with Sylvester Stallone. His participation in Devil Dog, it helps elevate the movie, actually, from sort of your typical low-budget horror flick to something a little bit more prestigious for television. Yvette Mimieux also has a little more to do here than in some other entries that I'm going to cover a little bit later on, Black Noon and also Snow Beast. There, she was basically just window dressing, but here, she actually gets to show off a little bit more of her acting chops, and she goes from sort of the normal mom and wife to sort of becoming very frosty after her possession. And also just a note about Kim Richards and Ike Eisenmann. If they look super familiar to some people of a certain age demographic, that's because, yeah, you're going to recognize them. They were the siblings in Escape from Witch Mountain in 1975 and again in Return from Witch Mountain in 1978. I think Hollywood just thought they had great chemistry together as brother and sister, and so they paired them up here, and it is kind of a nice choice in this movie. They both do a very nice job here. It's impressive to see actors so young play the wholesome kids who can suddenly turn on a dime and become much brattier and much more sinister. It's actually really a credit to their acting abilities. Like many made-for-TV movies of the era, Devil Dog, The Hound of Hell, it was produced with a very modest budget, so limited use of any sort of elaborate special effects. The filmmakers had to rely on practical effects and camera tricks and lighting to create the Hellhound's menacing presence. The final form of the dog with glowing red eyes and fiery breath, yeah, that's just achieved a sort of basic special effects technology of the time. It's really not all that impressive for 1978, let alone today. But again, you go into it and you enjoy it for exactly what it was and what it is. You also have the cult members are sort of the typical tropes. They're rich, cold, British, at least in terms of Martine Beeswick as their leader. She's best remembered for being a Bond girl in From Russia with Love, and also Hammer Films' Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde from 1971. Here she is doing exactly what she does best. She's playing the femme fatale. She's the combination of beauty and menace. The Satanic Ceremony seems lifted out of a much better, maybe higher quality film, but director Curtis Harrington was able to sort of craft a suspenseful atmosphere through his skilled use of tension and pacing. Okay, is it a great movie? No, it's really not. The concept is really much more intriguing than the execution. However, don't let that sway you. It's worth certainly rewatching if you've seen it before, you saw it years ago, and if you're coming into it fresh, yeah, just lower your expectations quite a bit because this is a movie that stands out for the slow burn tension. Right, it's building dread as Mike's paranoia begins to escalate. The demonic influence over his family becomes much more pronounced. It remains a memorable example of 1970s horror television with a focus on the psychological horror and, of course, the demonic possession side of it as well. So that's it. Please go take a watch, see what you think about it, and comment down below. Hit the like and subscribe button just so you'll always be notified when I'm dropping a new video. And as always, everybody, stay curious and stay scared.